In 1992, a 25-year-old Sinéad O'Connor ripped up a picture of the Pope on the most popular TV show in America at the time.
Fight the real enemy!
So how did a young Irish woman go from being under the guardianship of the Catholic Church to becoming one of the most controversial and recognisable pop stars in the world before eventually converting to Islam? This is the story of Sinéad O'Connor and her complicated relationship with religion. Sinead's mum was very religious, and she grew up in Ireland at a time when the church had a huge influence on everyday life. And then as a teenager, Sinead was sent to a Magdalene Laundry in Dublin after shoplifting and skipping school. If you've never heard of these, they're basically run by the Catholic Church, and they imprisoned a lot of women for things like being quote-unquote promiscuous or getting pregnant outside of marriage, being sexually abused, the list goes on. They made the women work for no money, and the Irish government has actually since acknowledged that those held there were victims of abuse. This is how Sinead described one of the punishments she received there, which was being sent to stay in a neighbouring nursing home. "I have never, and probably will never, experienced such panic and terror and agony over anything." I would recommend watching this movie if you'd like a bit more information on the Magdalene Laundries. Anyways, after she left the institution, she started performing, and she actually achieved huge global success with her second album and the hit Nothing Compares to You.
Nothing compares. Nothing compares to you.
In 1992, she was invited onto Saturday Night Live when this happened.
Of good over evil. Fight the real enemy.
In an interview later on, she said that before the performance, she had come across an article about families who'd been trying to lodge complaints against the Catholic Church for sexual abuse. I can't emphasise enough how mad this was. It was a huge protest on a primetime TV show against an institution that nobody was speaking out against at the time. I mean, it was a whole 9 years before the Pope made an apology for the thousands of abuse cases. So at the time of her SNL performance, the American press hadn't been covering those abuse stories at all, so the public there had no idea what was happening. Her performance received over 4,000 complaints. She got banned from SNL, and people even hired a steamroller to roll over records in front of her record company.
But I'll tell you one thing, she was very lucky it wasn't my show. Because if it was my show, I would have gave her such a smack.
And at a performance in Madison Square Garden soon afterwards, this happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sinéad O'Connor.
It didn't make her very popular with a lot of Americans at the time, but it did get people talking, which is all she wanted. In her memoir, she wrote about the event, saying, "Everyone wants a pop star, see, but I'm a protest singer."
Abortion will be legalised in this country very soon.
And she said even though all the backlash was very traumatising, she never regretted ripping the picture. I wanted to find out what people in Ireland thought about the ripping picture situation at the time, so I texted my auntie and she told me this. My auntie says that she thought that she was very courageous, albeit silly, to take on the establishment. My granny, however, was appalled by Sinead's actions and words. But my granny also thought that Sinead was beautiful, but if only she'd let her hair grow out. And she loved her singing voice. Fast forward to 1999 and she was ordained by an independent Catholic church in Lourdes. Now, given the ripping incident, this might surprise you, but Sinead said that she was always a practicing and devout Catholic, even though she had disdain for the church hierarchy. About becoming ordained, Sinead said, "A person should never become a priest unless they take it dreadfully seriously." Surprise, surprise, the situation was met with a lot of debate, this time about if women should be priests, because the traditional church doesn't allow that. In 2011, she debuted this Jesus tattoo on her chest, each to their own. Of course, she referenced religion in a lot of her music. She had an album called Theology and another called Faith and Courage. But that had changed by 2018 when she posted on her Twitter that she had reverted to Islam, saying this is the natural conclusion of any intelligent theologian's journey. She said that after studying scriptures from different religions, trying to find the truth about God, that she felt at home as a Muslim. So 26 years on from fighting back against an institution which did so much damage to her home country and many others, Sinéad O'Connor finally found peace in Islam. As was always the case, her battle was never with religion, but instead with the injustices perpetrated in its name. Sinead O'Connor was a trailblazer, and will be remembered as such.